Welcome to lesson 5 of Immanuel called continuation. And so we will go into John 8, and this is all happening after the woman that was condemned for adultery. Jesus says, if anyone has sinned, let them cast the first stone. Everyone walks away. He preached this message of forgiveness, and then here we are. So it says, Jesus is the light of the world. So then Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me will not walk in the darkness, but will have the light of life. So the Pharisees said to him, You are testifying about yourself. Your testimony is not true. Jesus answered and said to them, Even if I testify about myself, my testimony is true, for I know where I came from and where I am going. But you do not know where I come from or where I am going. You judge according to the flesh. I am not judging anyone. But even if I do judge, my judgment is true, for I am not alone in it. But I am the Father who sent me. Even in your law has been written that the testimony of two men is true. I am he who testifies about myself, and the Father who sent me testifies about me. So they were saying to him, Where is your Father? Jesus answered, You know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also. These words he spoke in the treasury as he taught in the temple, and no one seized him because his hour had not yet come. Then he said again to them, I go away, and you will seek me and will die in your sin. Where I am going, you cannot come. So the Jews were saying, Surely he will not kill himself, will he? Since he says, Where I am going, you cannot come. And he was saying to them, You are from below, I am from above. You are of this world, I am not of this world. Therefore I said to you that you will die in your sins, for unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. So they were saying to him, Who are you? Jesus said to them, What have I been saying to you from the beginning? I have many things to speak and to judge concerning you, but he who sent me is true, and the things which I have heard from him, these I speak to the world. They did not realize that he had been speaking to them about the Father. So Jesus said, When you lift up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am he, and I do nothing on my own initiative, but I speak these things the Father taught me, and he who sent me is with me. He has not left me alone, for I always do things that are pleasing to him. As he spoke these things, many came to believe in him. So now we're getting to the point of the point of our discipleship conversation, where it says in John 8:31 to 32. So Jesus was saying to those Jews who had believed him, if you continue in my word, then you are truly disciples of mine, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So, through all these words that he spoke, it says that many Jews had begun to believe in him. So, Jesus began to say to those Jews that believed in him, if you continue in my word, then you are truly disciples of mine. And I think this is perfect in a sense of who he's talking to, because we know the bondservants of New Heaven, New Earth, they're all of Israelite descent. He's talking to the Jews who are Israelites, and he's saying to them, if you are truly disciples of mine, if you continue my word, then you're true disciples of mine. Something you'll notice about discipleship is that there's not many conditional statements, if any at all, when it comes to the general acceptance of grace in Jesus. But we'll find in discipleship, almost every teaching has conditional statements. If you're willing, if you do this, if then you are my disciple. And so one thing we should come to understand, if yeah, the bottom line you should understand from listening to these lessons is that there is a standard of being a disciple of Christ. There is a standard. Now that goes to say there is also a standard for the general acceptance of grace, but the standard is clear. And I'm not going to say it's not also clear from the general acceptance of grace either. But as we are reading this, it is very clear what his standards are. And in this one, he's setting the standard of continuation in his word. You cannot be a disciple of his and you do not continue in his word. So what does that mean? And I think it's important because he spoke a lot of words, right? A lot of words before they said they started believing him. So it says not, it's not just a moment of belief, and just because I sound good right now, if you continue in my words, then you are disciples of mine. And it's important that when you read the Gospels, we read it like a real life situation. So we understand that as he is talking, the crowds are hearing things right now they like and they believe. But he's going to say a whole many more things. And it's the same way with us in our journey, is that we may heard a certain thing. We had a favorite Bible verse in the Bible, a favorite thing that he said here and there. But he says, no, if you are really my disciple, you will continue in my word. So not just when you hear this thing that you like, but also when you hear the hard things I have to say. Also when life gets hard. Also when all distractions come. Will you continue in my word? Continue in belief, continue in obedience, continue in abiding in this realm of existence that I'm explaining is true and real, or will you abandon it? Now, another thing I want to hit on before I go into the grammar and the vocab that we get in this is the end of this, because we're not going to talk about verse 32. But it says, and you would know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So, something that he's also promising to his disciples, and this is not part of our lesson, but it is a promise to his disciples, is that if you continue my word, then you will know the truth, and you will know the truth. So we also understand that the revelation of truth does not come from one moment of listening to his word. It comes from a continued life of devotion to his word. Then you'll know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So with Jesus, he's explaining that the boy that cried wolf does not work here. Your one moment of faith, your one moment of belief in what I'm saying will not get you the results of discipleship. It is continuance. It is a shown continuance, perseverance, and dedication that which shows you that you are disciples of mine. And then you will also receive revelation of truth from your continuance, not from a one moment. There's no one reading. There's nothing. That's never going to happen that way. It's through a continued journey that the truth will be revealed to you. So in that way, he follows his own teaching. He doesn't throw his pearl to swine. His pearls to swine. What does it mean by that? Is that you have to show yourself that you really do believe, that you have a continuation, you have a perseverance, and then he will reveal the truth to you. No one gets revealed the truth off of one moment or the first moment they said they believe in Jesus. No, it doesn't work that way. And also, freedom is not accessible in a single moment. It is a product of receiving a revelation of truth that you'll get from your perseverance and continuation and dedication to his word, specifically his word, Christ's word, disciples of his. It's not to say you're not going to read the rest of the Bible, but his word opens up doors for, studying the rest of the Bible, because he'll quote Jeremiah, he'll quote Hosea, he'll talk about the law, he'll talk about the commandments, and those will be open doors to talk about different things in the word of God. But it's important to understand the continuation in his word, not Paul's word, not Peter's word, not John's word, not Moses' word, not Jeremiah, not Isaiah's word, his word. And then you'll know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Now, a couple things. This won't be too long. Continuation, okay? Um, this is translated as had believe is a perfect active participle, participle. of that word. The perfect tense indicates a past action with continuing results or state. NESB's had believe catches the pluperfect sense, though the question of genuine versus spurious faith becomes crucial contextually. The participle describes the type of Jews addressed, but the narrative context raises questions about the depth of their belief. So once again, this is he says this phrasing of had believed is showing that it's a past action of belief, but it's continued. And like we'll talk about, he actually gives this statement questioning, yeah, you believe, and then he says this and this is something you'll figure out about Jesus the more you read him truthfully, not just for who you want to be. He questions people's faith. He questions your faith, and he is a tester of faith. I mean, we've seen that from the very beginning, testing Abraham, testing Job. Like he's test. That's who he is. He tests. But a lot of times through Christ, the way he tests is actually through his words, his speeches, and his teachings is testing your faith. And so when he says this about these who had believed, he is beginning to question their belief, and he's giving more truth, revelation of listen, so we can discern who's here in true belief and who is just a moment of belief, a spurious moment of belief. He teaches about the continuation in his word. So this is translated as if you continue. Okay. Okay, so that and aorist subjunctive creates a third class condition, hypothetical uncertain fulfillment. This is not a simple future prediction, but a conditional possibility. The condition implies their continuing is not guaranteed despite their having believed. NESB's continue is good, though remain or abide captures the richer sense of dwelling and staying. And so, one of the things we're seeing important about this is hypothetical. This is not, he's not saying that everyone who hears this is going to continue on his word and they're going to continue in belief. And so his question, and this is important, I think this is very important because we should also have this mindset of testing faith. Like sometimes we're so easy in that, oh, this person says they're a Christian, they say that they believe that Jesus is Lord. Okay, then they're good. They believe that this is a person of light, whatever it may be. But Jesus always gave more revelation of discernment of who is truly his, truly disciples of his, and who is not. And this, if you continue, is very important. So it's not just about having a good day, a good week, a good year, a good 5 years, a good 7 years. It's a life that's dedicated to staying in his word, staying in the parameters of his word and the revelation of truth that he's given. But it's also important that even Jesus knew what everyone he was talking to is that this if that they're continuing is not guaranteed, although they believe. And that's important to understand about people we come across, we fellowship with, is that it's not a given that someone's going to continue, although they believed at one point. Next one. So this one means continue, abide, remain. The aorist subjunctive of that word, this verb suggests more than casual persistence. It implies remaining, dwelling, abiding in a location or relationship. The same verb Jesus uses in John 15 for abiding in the vine. The locative emphasizes positions as fear, remaining within his word. And so we don't understand. We have to look at His word. His word is like a house. It's like a property. It's like a land. And there's a huge difference from staying in the perimeters of that land and leaving that perimeters of the land to do things you can't do in that land. Think the way, and that goes down to the way you think. You know what? Within this land, in the perimeters of this word of Christ, we don't think this way. You got to go out there to think that way. Within these parameters in this word of Christ, we don't feel that way. If you want to feel that way, you have to go out there to feel that way. Within the parameters of this word of Christ, we don't act this way. If you want to act that way, you got to go out there. And so we know when someone has discontinued because we find them thinking in ways that you're not going to find in the word of Christ, feeling in ways that you don't find in the word of Christ, and acting in ways that we don't find in the word of Christ. So to continue and abide and remain is to allow yourself to live within the parameters of the word of Christ. And that's from how we think, how we feel, how we perceive things, how we act. But it's a decision, just like it's a decision to stay in your house or leave out that house. There's a decision that people make to stay in that parameter or to leave that parameter. But those who are true disciples of His, they stay in the parameters of the word of Christ. Okay, this phrase is translated true disciples of mine you are. The word order in Greek emphasizes truly, really, genuinely. Um, it lacks the article emphasizing quality and characteristics rather than identity alone. The condition establishes that continuing the word is what demonstrates genuine discipleship. This isn't about becoming disciples, but about being shown to be real disciples. So, this is an important thing. Is that one thing this is saying is that you don't become a disciple because of your continuation in the word. You show yourself to be a true disciple by your continuation in the word. So the minute you decide to pick up that cross, you've become a disciple. But there's always still a discern about who is truly who is truly his disciple and who is not. The true ones continue on. They carry that cross into the end. The false ones, they put it down. It's too heavy. I don't want to deal with this. I could feel freer if I didn't have this cross my back. The false freedom, the false freedom that comes with the stress and anxiety and depression and living every day trying to convince yourself about how happy you are. We just want to understand that genuine discipleship is shown by the continuance. It's not just a phase of life. And that is one thing that is true, and I've seen this, is that time usually sorts out who is really here and who was here just as a phase of their life. I see all the time. And I mean, I'm not on social media anymore because honestly, I've seen enough phases to know that many people that are doing it on social media are doing it. It's just a phase of their life, and they're just trying to get out of it, and they want to get into, uh, all other types of things. They want to be more like the world, but it's important to understand that this is not the true ones. The test of time will show them to be true. They will continue on. They will not stop. It is not a phase. It is not a quick addiction. It is life. It is life. Last one, the conditional structure of the entire sentence creates a conditional relationship. So the protest is the if clause, and then we have the then clause. The third class condition presents this as uncertain, suggesting that those who believe may or may not continue. This creates theological tension about the nature of their initial belief. And so, something we've already hit on, but just understanding that initial belief does not necessarily mean continuation. It doesn't. I think this is an important truth to hone in on is that continuation is our discernment about who is truly a disciple of his. And not only is continuation our discernment about who is truly a disciple of his, but we can't be so quick to deem someone that has such a great pace with God because of a moment. It takes the scope of a dedicated life to prove to be really a disciple of his. And so it's lesson 5 continuation. We'll be back soon. Lesson 6. Be blessed.